Born into a poor family, Lula became known countrywide as a union leader who spearheaded metal workers' strikes during the dictatorship, which paved the way for his entry into politics. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's trajectory went from his success as president to his imprisonment, and now, in 2022, to becoming the most viable alternative to President Jair Bolsonaro. That year, Lula managed to moderate his speech and image. He also built an alliance with the centre-right, having an industrialist as his vice president. Buoyed by the commodities boom, during his first years in office, Lula's administration delivered economic growth, reduced inflation, and raised the average family income by expanding social programs. In 2005, the Mensalão corruption scandal broke, a scheme to buy parliamentary support for government-backed bills. The scandal harmed the image of his Workers' Party. His second term saw the expansion of social and economic programs, the discovery of pre-salt oil deposits, a leading role in South-South foreign policy, and the creation of the BRICS. Lula also had to deal with the fallout from the 2008 global economic crisis, which halted the country's growth. Leaving the presidency with 87% approval, Lula managed to elect his successor, his chief of staff, Dilma Rousseff. Timid economic growth and protests in mid-2013 limited support for Dilma's re-election in 2014. She still managed to win a second term, but only by a narrow margin. After a troubled 2 years, Congress impeached Dilma in 2016, and the Workers' Party was largely blamed for the political and economic crisis that engulfed the country. On trial as part of Operation Car Wash, Lula was convicted of corruption and imprisoned 5 months before the 2018 elections, taking him out of a race that he was winning. Lula and his Workers' Party picked a placeholder presidential candidate instead, former Education Minister Fernando Haddad. But this time, they faced another challenge. With Lula out of the running, far-right backbencher Jair Bolsonaro jumped to first place in the polls. Jair Bolsonaro had been campaigning for the presidency since the 2013 protests, capitalising on general opposition to the political system, and he reaped the benefits of this dissatisfaction. Bolsonaro reached the 2018 election as the outsider candidate and the only alternative to preventing the Workers' Party from returning to power, and he won. Lula was released from prison in November 2019 during Bolsonaro's first year in office. The former president then began testing the political waters and building his narrative ahead of the next election. During the pandemic, he capitalised on Bolsonaro's poor handling of the public health crisis and drew parallels with his own response to the swine flu outbreak, evoking a sense of nostalgia for when he was president, a theme that would become recurrent in his electoral campaign. Lula also held meetings in Brazil and abroad with heads of states acting as an unofficial president. In April 2021, the Supreme Court annulled all convictions against Lula, leaving him free to dispute the election. Since then, Lula has been polling first since the start of the 2022 campaign and is slowly increasing his lead over the runner-up, Jair Bolsonaro. Lula is building political alliances around his candidacy to try and convince the population and the market that his first-round victory would be better for the country.